Alright, welcome to the playthrough video for Builders, the building deck building game. I am Cameron, I'm here playing with Tyler.
Yep.
And we are just starting off the game. So we each have our starting deck of 4 cards, from which we are randomly drawing a hand of 3. So, according to the rules, whoever built something most recently gets to go first, and I believe that's you.
I did build a plant wall yesterday. So, I have these. I'm generating 3 beers, an axe, a fire, and a schedule. Like, some of those are ors instead of and, I should say.
Yep.
So, the first step I'm going to want to do is I'm going to use these 3 to hire the site supervisor. That's going to draw a new card. And then these cards, I'm not going to spend anything else. These cards all go to the discard.
Alright.
And I draw up to 3. I have 1. I don't have to draw again.
Alright, well, I also have just a slew of beer. So I'm going to play my 3 beer and hire this welder. Go straight to my discard pile. And then I think I'm actually going to use the hammer on my general contractor to get you earn it, we burn it. And that'll be the end of my turn.
So I'm also generating just a ton of beer, and then either a hammer and a beer or an axe or beer. Use that hammer, hit the home run sports bar. I'm gonna use that to start my plaza. And lucky me, the countertop installer came up, and because I haven't used my beers or made a hire this turn, I actually can hire him. I have generate 5 beer, so I have plenty to make the chew to get the countertop installer, and that is that. Revealing another card.
Alrighty.
These go to this card. These go to this card.
So
I took this by accident. That goes back there. I draw.
So I don't have any hammers this hand, and there are no people available. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play the lawyer for their axe to clear the flop here. So that'll scoop all this up to a discard.
So those instantly, new cards get drawn, filling out the store again.
Alright, and then I will use my... Oh, actually, no, I don't have enough hammers. She only makes 2, but there is finally a commercial there. So I'm going to use these for more beer, and I'm going to hire the electrician. And that will be that.
I'm going to use that hammer to build the grading dating service. And as you notice, I'm going to put that on top, so I have a second floor in that building now. Making it just that little bit taller. I also could have played it to the side to have more buildings in my plaza. I also generate some more beers and an axe or a fire. I've already used my scheduling for this turn building the grading dating service. If I hadn't, I'd be able to use that axe to knock down Cam's building. But I've decided against it this time. I will use those 3 beers, however, to hire the project manager. So that'll flip that instantly. These all come together, and they also go on my discard.
Alright. Well, I don't like that you are already getting a bit of a tower here. So I think first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 beer here to hire the asphalt layer. And then in lieu of having anything to build myself, I'm going to use this axe and a beer to destroy your dating service.
So that goes back here to the... And in game terms, that's actually destruction, that is tearing down. That is important because there are certain things that actually destroy, and that works just a little bit differently. So, is that the rest of your turn, or are you hiring something?
That's all I've got.
Alright, so I have a bit of a weird hand here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a beer and draw. So that's going to draw a new card, and I just get more beers. So I can't actually build anything this turn. But between 3 here, 1 here, 1 here, 3 here, and down here, and then the project manager is going to give me an extra recruit, I actually have a couple of options of what I can do here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use 5 of these. I'm just going to take these, that's 5, and put it off to the side just to track for myself to get the mural painter. Now notice this is a special card that is hired with beers, but also counts as a building. So the nature of it is that you hire it first as though it is an employee. It goes in your personal deck. And then next time it comes out, you can play it as a floor to transform it.
Oh, we got our first roof out.
Well, I only have one beer here, and I used 5. So I am able to use this recruit and this one beer to get the concrete layer. Just hire some more people into my company.
All right. Well, I like the look of things here. So first, I'm going to use the welder to give me 2 hammers and a beer if I'm building commercial, along with these 2 hammers to build nickel and dimed banking, which cannot be torn down. And then I don't see anything particularly interesting that I want. I could tear down your bar, but instead I think I'm going to use the lawyer to fire a card from my discard pile here.
You can't use that to tear down a building. You don't have enough scheduling.
Oh, that's right, because I already built.
You don't have enough permits.
Well, I'm going to get rid of my investor. So regular employees that you would hire, like say the electrician, would go into the discard pile, but starter cards like the investor will return to the box.
Alright, so I don't have a lot of options here that are looking good to me. So I'm going to do like Cam did earlier. I'm going to use that lawyer to do an axe to clear this initial flop. You can only do that once per turn, and it has to happen before you build anything or hire anyone. So we're going to reveal some more right now. Ooh, I like the look of... Oh, we have a couple of occult cards coming out. Now, occult cards are just like any other building, but they tend to have some pretty fun and different effects. So I'm now sitting here with 3 beers and a hammer. So I am going to hire the wallpaperer for those beers. And at 1 hammer, I don't have enough to build anything. And I can't tear down Cam's building, so we just keep moving on.
I'm sad that you got rid of that roof.
Well, you're already in a good position.
All right, I'm going to start by getting beer and draw. See what I get for that. All right, and I'm going to play 3 hammers and another beer to get the church to a fallen being. Put that in my plaza. Oh wow, getting all sorts of occult. And now I've got a 3rd beer, so I'm going to use all of this to hire the carpenter. And that'll be my turn.
Alright, well I'm going to start by playing the mural painter. It's come back out, and it's going to go on top of the home run sports bar. Now, you'll notice that the mural painter doesn't have any nails, so for purposes of the inspector, it is dangerous to build above the mural. However, it also cannot be torn down, so if Cam was eyeing up my stuff, he's now not able to do as much about it. So I'm now going to do a beer and a draw. And I have just a bunch of beers again. So, I'm looking at what my options are. And I don't love any of those. So
No?
I'm looking at my deck thickness right now, and I'm actually not going to buy anything because I'm worried about it getting a bit under control and not getting the cards I want.
Consistency is key. All right. Let's see if I can get anything out of this. All right, I've got a solid enough hand here. There's unfortunately no commercial, so I think what I'm going to do, in lieu of being able to tear down your stuff, I'm going to use the lawyer to clear the flop.
Or store, to use the game terminology.
Yeah, sorry, using the genericized deck builder terms. Oh, I like the look of some of this residential property. So I actually don't have enough hammers to build some of those, but I think I'm going to start a new property here using 1 hammer to build myself a tea shop of terror. And that will be my turn.
Oh, well that puts me in a really good position. So I'm going to start with the hammer and a draw. And then I have these. So I will use these 2 hammers here to grab myself a subsidized residential. So what's special about residential cards is they tend to generate more points the more of them that are in play. So subsidized residential, for example, doubles in value for each subsidized residential in any plaza. That means that any player in the game is built, if they have subsidized residential, they're getting more points off of it. Now, in the meantime, I do have 1, 2, 3, 4 beers, 5 counting this one, so I have a lot of beer again. I have no problems when it comes to that. And I now have a difficult decision of, do I want the cleaner or do I want the carpenter? So what I'm thinking right now is that I'm a little bit low on hammers in my deck, so I'm actually going to draw the carpenter this time. Add it to the thing there, flip this over, and then we're good to go.
All right, so I've got a solid hand here. I'm going to use that carpenter I hired to build an average apartments flat out. And then I think I want that poke and prod luxury spa as well. So I will use my extra scheduling and some more hammers, and I will pick this up. Slap that. Actually, let's put that on top of the Tea Shop of Terror. I think that's the good place for a spa. And that'll be the end of my turn, and at this point, I think we're going to skip ahead in the video and show you the last round of the game as well as scoring.
Yeah, hopefully Tyler can catch up.
And we're back. So we have 8 and 9 buildings respectively, so we are right on the cusp of ending the game for a 2-player game. So some things panned out great for me. I had a really risky building here because I continued to put high nail floors on top of a 1 nail floor, so if the inspector had come by, she would have gotten me to tear all of that out. But luckily, I got a roof on top of that before she did. The part of my strategy that has not panned out, though, is after that average apartments, I kept hiring people who are going to give me bonuses for building residential, but no other residential has come up, or when it has, it's been cleared out. So I think at this point, before this build has time to backfire even more, I'm just going to try and end the game and hope that Tyler can't catch up to me. So I'm going to play this crane operator for 2 hammers. And that's going to give me, in addition to my 1 hammer from Wandsworth's, enough to build games and dranks. So I'll just put a board game cafe there in the middle of my tower. And I don't have another scheduling, unfortunately, because I had to use this one here. Because otherwise, I've got plenty of axes, and I would love to get rid of your Didja and get them. So I'm just going to have to end it here and hope that your turn is less exciting than mine.
Well, I don't know if that's quite how it's going to go. So you'll notice that I have Alherzed's Antiques down here, which is going to generate another draw for me. Then I'm going to play the cleaner for 2 more draws.
Oh no.
Didn't get any more, but I do have a pretty aggressive hand right here that I can play with. So I'm generating a lot of hammers and a lot of axes in here, and I do have 2 permits to be able to do a lot. Those beers at this point in the game aren't going to help me very much, so I have to kind of make some decisions whether or not it makes more sense for me to gain points or to try and knock down some of Cam's. And
I definitely didn't want another subsidized residential to show up on the last turn of the game.
Well, I lucked out with that, so I'm going to use those 2 hammers here to get that subsidized residential. And I am going to put it actually up on top of Didja and get him the lawyer's office, which then reveals another one. All right, so at this point, I'm going to try to start being more aggressive. I'm going to use the permit from the CEO, plus an axe from the lawyer, and 2 more from Didja and get him to actually tear down games and ranks.
Ah.
So what that means is, even though Cam has less than 10, he did have 10 floors at one point, so the end game has still been triggered. So this is still the last turn anyways.
Yeah, meaning I won't get another turn to rebuild. I'm just going to have to hope I have more points than you.
Yep. Then I also realized that I forgot another draw there on Infinity Skylights.
You might have too much draw, Tyler.
I then have a hammer draw right here.
Tyler, stop.
I then have a beer draw right here.
Tyler, what are you doing?
I then have a hammer draw right here.
Oh my gosh.
And there we go. So I actually have 2 more hammers in here and another permit to actually be able to build the unemployment office. So, as you can see, Cam started in a much better place than me this round, but I managed to, through some luck and through some good playing, and through actually realizing what I had, catch up a little bit.
Yeah, my build seemed really strong early on, but once you had enough draw cards, the size of your deck didn't seem to slow you down.
Yeah, I had a bit of a larger deck for this, which is a risky little maneuver. So when you're doing that, you want a lot of different buildings that give you that card draw. And unfortunately for Cam, I should say, I was able to keep a lot of those buildings away from him. So, with that, I have nothing else I can do on my turn.
So
These are all going to go away. And now we're going to do scoring.
So scoring in builders is fairly straightforward. To start, each floor has its value listed on it, and those values will be modified by certain other buildings in the game. For example, my very first building says that each player gets +1 value for each tech they have, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to get my hands on any tech because Tyler kept scooping them up for me, meaning that I'm actually giving Tyler 2 extra points for this building.
And it's worth noting that that is counted separately. So you'll notice that, for example, for residential, those double each other. These 2 subsidized residential. So if there was something in play that gave more points for subsidized residential, that would be added after the doubling, not before.
Correct.
So right now, with that, I'm sitting at 2 points before we go and do anything else.
Another one that's going to be modifying things is behind the scenes mechanics, where its value is determined by the floors above and below it.
So in this case, it is actually equal to 4. Now you'll notice that it's actually it's a low hammer card. Easy to build, it's only a single hammer to get it, but it is a very risky one and it's very easy to get taken out of. I just got lucky that I was able to get the Infinity Skylights on top of it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to start adding these up. So I have 2.
After you determine values of all your floors, next you'll want to add the actual floor number that they're on to their, to how many points you're actually getting. So while my average apartments is 3, I'll also get a point for it being on the first floor, and then 2 points for the second, 3 points for the third, 4 points for the fourth, and so on and so forth. Meaning that 1 point, that 1 value unemployment office is actually going to be worth 6 points in Tyler's build, which could be a big deal.
Yep. So, with all that, let's get down to counting them up. How about you go first, Cam?
All right. So, a lot of my potential for bonus points didn't pan out. I didn't manage to grab any tech. I didn't see the gold-plated housing this game, unfortunately, which would have been huge.
Both of them were in the second drop fight, if I remember correctly.
Oh no! I wish I'd been paying more attention to that.
And no one could build them because we weren't high enough yet. Because they can only be built on the 3rd floor or higher. Many people demand their good views.
Yeah. And I kept trying to leave towers, and I wish I was paying attention to both of them coming up. I thought only one of them did. So that means that my score is going to be 3, 6, 7 points, plus 1 for each floor, so that's 10 for the first floors of my plaza, plus 1, 5, 6, with another 6 is 12, putting me to 22, plus 3, and 6 more is 9, putting me to 31, and finally 3 plus 4 for the floor will put me to
38?
I lost track of where I was in the numbers.
I think you're at 38.
10, 22.
No. Oh.
It's okay.
31.
This is something we will fix in post.
38.
It's 38?
Yeah.
So that brings me to 38 points.
So, I think I might have managed to catch up with him that last turn, but I don't know if I had it before then. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, plus the 2 from before is 6, 7, 8, 9. We then have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 17.
Yep.
3, and then a whopping 5. So before anything that brings us up to 25. Plus those is 31. I then realized that I have 2 subsidized residential, so I didn't count those properly. So that's 32, 33, 34. Plus the 4th floor is 38. That is 39. And that brings me up to 44. So it was actually...
That unemployment office made the difference on its own.
Yes, it did. And that demonstrates one of the tricky and risky parts about playing this game is that if you're close to being able to end the game, you need to ensure that you have enough of a lead that you can hold onto it whenever someone tries to catch up with you.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting you to get enough schedulings to be able to build and tear down in that turn, but that was enough that it made up the difference in points.
Yep, I think if I hadn't gotten the tear down, you might have won or you might have tied.
I would have had 5 extra points, so you would have been 1 point ahead.
Yeah. So, although it's a decent point difference, that's actually pretty close in this game.
Yeah. Not to mention, if you had at any point flipped up the inspector, my buildings are currently safe as they're either complete or, in this case, I might have lost games and dranks, but you would have lost the majority of that tower.
I would have lost Digi and Getum, Subsidized Residential, and the Unemployment Office because they're all higher than the White Hat Security Services.
Mm-hmm.
It was a risk, and actually, as happens very rarely, the inspector didn't come up this game.
Yep. There's only one inspector in the deck, and each time she shows up, she'll shuffle the discard back into the deck, so she will continue to show up. Mm-hmm. And so you never know when she's going to show. She will just randomly show up one day and tear floors out of your tower.
Yep. It's an encouragement to build safely, or you can keep pushing your luck.
Mm-hmm. But that is the gist of a game of Builders. I hope you guys found this informative and or enjoyable. Thank you very much for watching.